Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the Art with World. I am your host, WAHEED. Today, our guest is Asim Bhatt. Asim Bhatt is a novelist, translator, short story writer, and a critic. Currently, he is working as director, Pakistan Academy of Letters, Islamabad. How are you, Asim sir?
Thank you very much. Fine.
Welcome to our show.
I'm very grateful to you invited me here, and I hope it will be a good chat.
So, Asim, I have seen you in Young Publishers, Lahore, way back, I think more than 2 decades ago or even before that. And whenever I used to come into that office, I always found you silently working and seeing some papers around. I didn't know at that time that you were also writing something. So maybe you were working on your translations, I guess, because you have done wonderful translations of Kafka and many other writers. So just tell us about your early journey, your interest in literature, and how you became interested in writing novels, and such great novels actually.
That was a time when I started my work on my first novel, Daira, and that was a great experience to work in Young Publisher. And again, that was the time when I also was very involved in translations, because translation gave me an opportunity to earn something else than monthly salary. So translation started with this desire to earn more. But with the passage of time, I developed some deep interest in this field, and now I do translations still, but it is on my own choice, and I like to translate literature. The other thing is that I remember Ezra Pound. He once said to Hemingway, who was facing writer's block these days, and he went to Ezra Pound for some advice. He suggested him to translate literature, and the reason he gave is that a hunter doesn't hunt all the time, but he keeps his weapons sharp and clean. So translation is a way for a writer to keep himself or herself ready for the moment when the idea strikes and he starts writing. So it's a process, it's a part of my learning process, how to write. You enter into the world of any writer, and you walk on the steps of that writer, and you go through the experience which he had while at that time. Yes. So this is also a great experience for a writer to learn how to deal with the creative process.
Well, I think it's a good learning for me as well. Whenever I'm unable to write, I will start translating. Thank you for that.
I remember you were also involved in translation of Marquis' novels.
We'll talk about your translations later, but let's come back to your original work which you have been doing. What was the reason that you chose fiction to express yourself?
I started my literary career as a poet, and it's a long story.
Well, it's probably trajectory of Pakistani writers these days, that they start with poetry and then end up in writing novels.
Yes, many of the fiction writers started in the same way, but after some time, you realize your own potential and your own temperament. Poetry requires something very different, some temperament which is burning with passion all the time, and you need that passion to create poetry. But in fiction, if you have a different temperament, like in poetry, you you tell the people, you tell the world about yourself. You tell them, look, it's me. This is my feeling. This is my desire. This is my dream. This is what I want to see, to do, to listen. So, me is the main thing in poetry. Poetry is self-centric something, self-centered activity. And you give people, you give literature, the world, a dream of parallel world. But in fiction, you go into the nitty-gritty of the scheme of the things. You try to enter into the real world, and you then feel that what is real is not one image, one picture. It is a heap of patches. It is a heap of moments, and every moment has a universe within itself. So this, your curiosity leads you in fiction. So again, it depends on your temperament. What exactly you want to extract, you want to get from literature. Just play, or you have a curiosity which leads you to something. To explore, yes, of course. So I started from poetry, and in my early days, in my early years when I was in school, I used to write poems, and I still love poetry. In my college days, then a moment came when I felt that no, it's time to quit this thing. Then I shifted to story writing.
A lot of new experiments have been done in the novel writing. These days, many a writer use techniques of magical realism and fantasies. Did you consciously adopt some of these techniques in your writing? Please let us know.
A fiction writer tries to understand the scheme of the reality, and for the purpose to create his or her own fictional world. So when you feel that you are on the verge of or to understand the reality, and you feel to write your own word, to create your own scheme, then there comes a question: okay, what exactly you are contributing in your own legacy, in your local language tradition, in the world at large. So these are the questions. These are questions which you face, and you need an NOC at all from all the forms to justify your efforts. And to justify yourself, you need to be unique in any aspect in your writing. If you are not contributing, if you're not adding something into your own legacy or into the tradition which you belong in, then it means that you are wasting your time. your and reader's time. So this question must be written on some paper, and every writer must have this paper before on the table. So to get this answer, you add something. So fantasy and magical realism and other techniques which you mentioned are the way to make believe yourself and your legacy and tradition that you are making some addition in literature. Secondly, fiction is not just a depiction of the real world. The times passed away when it was the conception that if you depict the reality with all the details and make it real on your paper, it will be your achievement and it is a great thing, etc., etc. But now you need to something parallel to the original reality. So a fiction writer creates a parallel world, a parallel reality. He understands the real world, gets raw material from his or her surroundings, and then builds his own world. So at that point, you need some new techniques, new styles, whatever in language, in the construction of plot, in construction of characters, in painting of a depiction of events, situations, views, whatever. So you need to be unique and new, and for this you need different styles. Though Urdu literature has done very good in the past years, but we are far behind the international literature is.
I think in your novels, Bhed and Daira, you used techniques of magical realism and fantasy. Am I right?
I always liked and still like to see things in some vagueness. I like this in gray areas. So fantasy, I like fantasy, and to go away from the usual lines, usual ways. So I developed this scheme that your locale must be very clear, which you can check by knocking, and it must be identifiable. But on that very solid locale, you can build your own story. You can make plot and your characters and stories and other events. So there I use fantasy and magical elements from the magical realism. And we have a very great tradition of such techniques. We have classical tales and a great tradition of magic in real life. So I got inspiration from my own classic heritage. Alif Laila, Kissa Chahar Deve, these are the tales, Tilsum Hoshruba, etc., etc. So these are the tales which can be a guide to the writers of my generation and coming generations. What you say about Harry Potter and other tales like Harry Potter, they have the same magical elements. You can say that these elements are very common in different cultures. But in today's world, when you write fiction, you are in a difficult situation than the writer in your past. Now the reality, the conception of the reality is different. It's not a simple reality with the developments in different fields, different sciences.
Well, I think reality was never simple in any time in history, I guess.
Then it was very easy to see things in black and white. Yes, in black and white, in good and evil. So they were archetypal division. But now you know that every particle has not only both but multi qualities. So reality is not, real world is not based on one atom. Now new research explores that there is nothing matter which you can identify as matter. Matter is gone after Einstein. So if you are aware of the developments around you in different branches of knowledge, your conception about reality changes.
Well, in our times, most of the writers writing in different parts of the world have used these techniques of fantasy and magical realism. Could you like to just let us know who are the writers in our country, in our part of the world, who have used these techniques frequently in their fiction and other literature?
Sadiq Alam from Kolkata. I think he is the, in living writers, he is the most important one in, especially in short fiction, short story. And he used these techniques very successfully. The main thing is that when you use anything, it must come out of from your within yourself. And when you use it, borrow it from international literature and use it, then the color and the impression it creates doesn't last.
Most of your novel, as far as I understand, deal with city of Lahore, its streets, its characters, its unique ambience
In the streets and roads.
of old city particularly. And I also remember that after your office work, you would just roam around in streets of old Lahore. And then there were a lot of characters which were found in those streets which appeared in your novels. So just tell us about your love with the old city and how you represented that city in your novel.
I spent my formating years there, especially in the walled city of Lahore, which still has a very unique culture, though it is not so deep and dark now, but it still exists there. And I have still a lot of memories, a lot of characters, scenes, events which I painted in my novels, and I still have many things in my memory. But I think a fiction writer always needs a locale, something very particular locale. Poets are not bound to this thing, but fiction writers need, and the best thing is the locale where you spend your early years formatting. That is the place that you know best. The place which you see in your dreams is the place where, in fact, you live even after leaving. So I painted the culture of that area, the characters. I chose different characteristics, qualities, colors, sounds which are different for readers. So I collected them and presented in my stories and novels. But this is only as far as the locale is concerned, the stories I wrote in different styles. I placed fantasy elements, magical elements, and intricate plots, and build my stories on metaphysical something. My story in Daira is based on something metaphysical about your character. You play your character in your life, but who determines what exactly you are and what you will do in your life, and where you stand in all this scheme. So this is the big question. So I dealt with this question in my novel, and again in my novel WAHEED, the identity is the main issue of any creative being. What you create is how much it is different from you, how much it is part of you, and how much you are different from your creativity. And if you identify yourself and it becomes an obsession, then what will happen? So this is the story of WAHEED.
Your novel Natamam was, I think, the novel which got UBL prize. Am I right?
Natama won 2 awards, UBL and Akshay Khushbu Praveen Shakar Award. But I like most my first novel, Daira.
In your latest novel, Pani Pe Likhi Kahani, it's a very interesting story, but I think that you have drifted away from your style and locale. It's not even about Lahore, it's in Mumbai, it's the happenings are in an international festival for peace, and you're also different in your approach and style while writing this. So was it your conscious effort to move away from your old style, or the story itself defined its style and approach?
At some extent, it is conscious to deviate from my previous style and characters and story telling technique. But main thing is that I know a woman named Eva, and I always desired to write down a female character, like the memorable characters of Urdu literature, like Simisha of Raja Gid, or Pascal, or Blanca from Nadi, Abdullah Hussain, or Murad Janada. So these are the female characters who are memorable. And I still have desire to write a female character of the same stature, which with something new, something different. So that's why I wrote this character of Eva, who has a complicated past, a difficult past, but she meets a man who is she feels that he is my soulmate, and they just in a span of a few days they come very close to each other. But departure, getting away from each other is a part of every love story. So I consciously chose a different locale, different story style, and different prose even. If you are writing a love story, not only the ambience of the novel, but the language, the prose must be different, lyrical, something lyrical. So you will find in this novel dialogues which are more close to poems, prose poems, you can say. And it was a great experience for me to write a love story.
Who were the novelists you liked most and they influenced your work as well?
Kafka, and then Borges, Marquez. I think Marquez is the greatest storyteller of the last century. And in Urdu, there are many writers. Abdullah Hussain, Qurtul Haider, Tariq Sahab in these days. So all these are my mentors, my teachers, and I get every different things from their styles, from their stories. But I always try to be to do something by my own, to develop something. So I don't know how much I'm successful in doing this, but I am still trying to create something different, something new.
In addition to novels, you have also written beautiful short stories, and I think two of your collections of short stories have appeared, Ishtahar Admi and the other one is Dastak. Would you like to tell us your experience in two different genres of fiction writing, short story and novel? What was the difference while you were working on your short stories and when you worked on your novels?
I think novel is a big game. Is a hunting of lion or something like this. While short story is more complicated, it requires more. It requires the writer to be more keen in
Expressing
in his or her observations. It is like this: you are sitting on a bank of a river, and you are picking fish from the water. So fish are the moments, and the river is the time flowing. So you pick events, you pick characters, scenes, stories, and this is a storytelling process, you can say. But when you have a big net and you catch a big lot of fish, and you see the whole river as a whole, the life as a whole. So you go from whole to the to its different parts. This is like novel writing.
Somehow you seem fascinated by the act of hunting. First you refer to Ezra Pound about translations and writer Brock, and now you have referred them into the act of writing a novel. Looks very interesting.
Manto, of course, Manto, Bedi, Ghulam Abbas, these are the three pillars of our short story tradition. Or not only pillars, but they are different. Three schools, three ways to see the reality, three ways to write a story, to express yourself, to describe your society. So this is our luck that they are not, they have few things common in their styles. So you can learn more and more from these three masters. The most I like about Manto is his freedom, his urge to be free while expressing himself. When there were hustle bustle of at the time 47 partition, people were very ambitious, very conscious, and they were struggling, and they were seeing this thing from a different. But there was Manto, who wrote Toba Takes Him, who wrote the tragedy of a common person, who is not a common person, who is not a party worker, who is not a freedom fighter, who is just a person living on this land. So the son of the soil, his main concern was the son of the soil. What will happen with Toba Takes Him, who was told that now this is not Pakistan, this is not India, this is Pakistan.
I think Ghulam Abbas was also a great short story writer.
Yes, he was. He is the only one you can label as the master storyteller. He is the master storyteller.
A very important aspect of your work is your translations. I'm amazed the quality of work which I find in your translations of Kafka, Borges, and many other writers, particularly Kafka and Borges. So, was it that you loved those writers so much that you wanted to translate, or was this work commissioned to you by someone?
In 1990, my first story published in a magazine titled Mahino, whose editor was chief editor was Kishwa Nahid. When I gave her a story, she answered me. She sent me a letter, very short letter, and she wrote that it's okay, it's not very bad story, I can publish it, but I will suggest you to keep yourself away from Kafka and Camus. Till then, I didn't read anything of Kafka, but Camus was in my syllabus when I did my MA. Sisyphus, Myth of Sisyphus. So then after that letter, I started reading Kafka, and I was in the habit of translating whatever I feel good in English. So in this way, I translated some of the stories from Kafka. And when I met Muzaffar Muhammad Ali Saab, the late Muhammad Muzaffar, who was in charge of Young Publisher, he asked me what you are doing right these days. I mentioned Kafka. Then he said, okay, do this as much as you can, and give me the manuscript, I will publish it. So that was a very big motivation for me at that time. And then I translated all these short stories of Kafka. And since then, in these last 30 years, at the time of new edition of Kafka Kahaniyan, I repeat all the manuscript, check it, its language, its translation, correctness, whatever. So in 5 times, after 5 times revisions, it is now quite satisfactory for me, Kafka Kahaniyan, which will be published soon, the 5th edition of the book. Then in the process of translating, I came to know about Borges. I read one story which was Circular Ruins, and that fascinated me a lot. And then after Kafka, And now I have translated Murakami. I find his stories more having more variety, more intricate plots, and more interesting than his novels. So I have translated his stories, and maybe next year.
I think you translated a Chinese novel as well.
Japanese stories, Chinese novels, uh, Carl Sagan's books, A.G. Wells' books, different books.
You have a wide range of writers and subjects in your translation work.
Yes, yes.
What do you think is the difference between World of Kafka and Borges?
Kafka opened a third eye to see the reality. Even most of us have this experience while awaking. We have the some moments between awakening and sleep. There is an area. So Kafka is there. Kafka is there, where the boundaries of fiction and reality dilutes, intermingle with each other, and there, whatever he saw, he made us to see that. So the third eye. He opened a new horizon to see the universe. Borges is very naughty. He creates imaginary writers, imaginary worlds, imaginary magazines, books, everything, and he knows he knows how to. He enjoys the this imaginary stories and other things. So he plays with, and I like him very much.
You have interviewed a range of writers like Intezar Hussain, Mustansar Hussain Tarar, Abdullah Hussain, and many other important short story writers in Urdu language. Would you like to tell us something very interesting about their work, about their personalities, which you might have noticed while interacting with them?
My main concern remain to know how they write, what is the process. They pick some idea and they conceive some idea, and then develop plot, and how they pick characters, etc. So I always ask them the question about what is the preparation you made, what is the preparation you make for before starting writing. So these interviews, I am collecting all these interviews, and they will be published in soon, and they are focused on the process of creativity. So it will be a learning thing for new writers.
So please tell us about your work at Academy of Letters.
We are working on different projects. I don't know how much I must talk about these projects right now in this program. But I think I'm working on. We have developed there a audio video studio there, and we are working to make videos and audios and audio video archive of writers and our literature. So we are doing this main project. Other than this, there are many.
And your work as chief editor of Academy of Letters, Pakistan?
Chief editor means to look after the publication process and to check the manuscripts, others like this. So it's a office work basically.
So since you are a chief editor of Pakistan Academy of Letters as well, and you might have come across writings of young new writers as well. So would you like to tell us what are the popular themes and techniques in the writings of these young writers?
New writers, always there are very few writers who you feel they are serious in their and they will go long in their future and they will produce. And of course, I find many writers, very young writers, who are doing very well in their field. But the point is how much constant, persistent you are in your activity. So all thing depends on the discipline, and time will prove who will come out with something new.
So thank you, Asim, for being with us today. It was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you very much.
So viewers, thank you for watching us. See you next Sunday, same time.